So I'm trying a new format with these life update videos. Before I'd play a bunch of games. I would record the gameplay, and then I would watch the gameplay and talk as the gameplay takes place. But I'd one of the challenges of that was finding enough gameplay. Was saving enough gameplay that I liked, and then talking about the things that I wanted to talk about within the time allotted by said gameplay. So, like, for example, if I had 20 minutes of gameplay, I would have to get everything out in those 20 minutes, which would usually be fine, because I could just trail off. I could trail off the rest of the gameplay after I was done talking. Which again, like I said, which is usually fine. There has not been an issue with that yet, but I think I'm just gonna record the. Well, I'm gonna try recording the voice recording first, and then doing the gameplay around that. Hopefully, maybe I'll be a little less distracted. However, I can't comment on the gameplay either. I don't know. I'm just experimenting, but getting some housekeeping out of the way. This life update is going to be about Patches passing away. So, I'll look at my calendar to get things more accurate. So, I guess a little bit more backstory. Cody and Patches were in the same litter, born 19 years ago, which is a super long time for cats. Like, they are considered super seniors. And for the most part, they're healthy for the entirety of their lives. Patches was sick once with bladder stones. We had to get surgery, and that was a long process for her, but she got through it. Cody was never really into the vet. He probably should have gone. I had my suspicions that he had like a bladder issue at some point, but it seemed like that resolved itself. But the point I'm trying to make is that they were very healthy, very happy. Cody obviously died April 15th. I made a life update video for that. And on July 6th, I was chilling with Patches. July 6th of 2023, obviously when this video is being recorded, but taking a step back, the cat, I mean, when the cats turn like 14 or 15, I knew that like that's usually when cats start to die. So I was mentally preparing myself for them to pass away for a long time now. I'd always keep an eye on them, you know. Always did what I could to make sure they're loved and spend time with them. I would always like just keep an eye on like their physical abilities and see how much energy they had, how much they slept. Patches she had lost weight since Cody died, but it didn't seem substantial. She wasn't like skin and bones like Cody was for such a long time. And I just kind of chalked that up to her getting older. She did seem like she was sleeping a lot more these past few weeks, but again, I just chalked that up to her being older. And even up to July 6th, I literally saw her jump on my mom's bed, which is probably like 3 feet high. And like, yeah, she didn't like clear it evenly. She had to climb up a little bit, you know, and she like slid along the edge a little bit, but she got onto the bed just fine. And I was super excited to see that. I was like, yeah, she's perfectly healthy. And that was around like 5. That was around 6 o'clock on July 6th. I'm not gonna go into the details of why I know that so specifically, but I had just left at 6 o'clock to go meet up with some friends, and Yeah, she looked fine. And so I stayed out late. I didn't get home and into bed till like 12 o'clock that July 6th. So it was like 12 o'clock Thursday. Like, but technically, it was like the start of Friday, like Friday 12:01. And I was woken up 3 hours later by my brother. And he's like, "Hey, like, you gotta wake up." And I was like, I was so tired. I was like, I was only 3 hours in, so I woke up. I thought he thought I was dying. Like, I thought I slept for like some absorbent amount of time, and he thought like there's something wrong with me. Which, like, funny enough, I would always say that's what I always thought that's what Patches thought if I slept in too long. She'd always, because I wake up very early, and if I slept anything past my usual time, say like an hour or two, she often would try to wake me up, and she would seem concerned. So I thought Nathan thought something was wrong with me. Then I realized he's like, "You gotta come with me." He's heading towards the door. And it's okay. He thinks something's wrong. Something else is wrong. I was starting to panic. I was like, "Should I grab my gat?" But then he's like, something about Patches, and he was having difficulty explaining what's happening because he suffered some brain trauma, and like I felt kind of bad, but I was so like tired and like shocked, and like I was going through a lot within. I got woken up suddenly, and I was going through a lot in like in a 10-second time span. I was just like, he was like, "Patches, she's weird," and I was like, "Dude, use your words." Which, in hindsight, I feel bad about like getting upset, but that was very stressful. A couple of seconds being woken up like that, and so I find her in the kitchen, like basically like right on the edge of the kitchen, starting to get into like the living room where the carpet is. She's lying down on her right side of her body, and her face is like just all wet. I think it was just like covered in drool, and she's whining, and like it sounds not good. Like, it sounds like pain or fear or both maybe. And she's not really moving her body at all. Like, she can only move her neck and her head, and the rest of her body is limp. So like if you try like grabbing her left legs, they'll twitch a little bit, but her right legs like completely nothing. Like, they weren't moving. They weren't moving at all. Her tail wasn't moving at all. She was just extremely limp. So, we just keep an eye on her for a little bit, for probably like an hour and a half. Nothing really changes, unfortunately. At some point during that time, I had to use the washroom, and Nathan made it sound like she was like teetering on the edge of like life and death, basically. And then basically for the rest of that night, like, I think she was scared to go to sleep because she would just like kind of teeter like that all night. So I was getting like, I was super tired. Only I stayed up way too late at that point already. Like, usually I go to bed at 9. I was up till 12, so I was short 3 hours of sleep, and then I only got 3 hours of sleep. So around like 5, I tried to go to sleep, and I was going in and out just because I was so like just nervous about my cat. So then I set my alarm for like 7 o'clock, I think. Yeah, set my alarm for 7 o'clock. Got really rough like hour and a half of sleep maybe, and it was more like a nap at that point. So wake up, ask my boss if I could work remote. He said it's fine. So the plan was to pound through my work as fast as possible, and just keep an eye on Patches for the time being. Maybe like something would change in that time span. Um, Although like I didn't think it was likely, but just wanted to give her a chance. And she just sat there pretty much. Um, there was one point she was on her. I laid her on her right side, and there was one point I laid her on her left side just to change it up for her a little bit. As I know, when like in normal health, she doesn't like staying around anywhere for too long, and I'm sure she wasn't a big fan of just sitting there, not not because she doesn't love me, but like I said, she likes to move around. So I'm sure she wasn't like ecstatic to just sit there next to me for fucking hours. You know, in her usual day to day, she would sit next to me, then she'd be on my lap, then she'd be in the kitchen, then she'd probably go to my room, chill with Nathan, and she'd just rotate around. Um, so I pounded through my work from like 8 o'clock till I think like 12:30 roughly, and I try to call vets and see if I could bring her in, and they're like, nah, like we have an appointment, or the fucking vet's not in for whatever reason. Because apparently they don't work fucking Fridays. So I call the place that's down the street from me, and I was trying to avoid going to there because my mom, my brothers, like, weren't a big fan of how they suggested we put Cody down, like roughly a year ago. Actually a year ago, for a month from now. That's when Cody got super sick. But anyway, I knew if I took her there that I would get shit for it, basically, so I didn't want to take her there. But I called, and they're like, yeah, I mean, you might be able to. There might be I called there, and like, you might be able to take her in, but there might be a wait. The condition that she's in, we recommend that you go to this emergency place in Oak Brook. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. I take her to my car. I was gonna take her by myself, but I take her to my car. I didn't bring a towel because I wasn't thinking, and she just pisses in my. There's a huge pool of piss. The second I put her in my passenger seat, I was like, "Well, fuck." Like, okay, so I bring her back in the apartment. I was like, I tell Nathan, like, hey man, like I need you to help me bring her to the vet. So I grab a towel and then put it in my passenger seat, and then we try again. We get to the vet, tell them what's going on, and they're like, yeah, so we can do all these tests, but we're also going to need an MRI, and we can't do that here. And the tests alone that we can do are going to be like $1,500. Not like 15. They're going to be $1,500. And then again, that doesn't include the MRI, which I can only imagine is going to be at least another 500. That's being generous. Like, I think more realistic, probably 1,000 to 1,500. And then that doesn't include treatment. So I'm looking conservatively at least like $4,000, probably up to like maybe even $7,000 in treatment. And like, I feel like shit, but like, first of all, I don't have that money. Even if I wanted, I mean, it's not that I didn't want to do it. Like, I literally have no possible means of paying for that bill. If it did go up to 7,000, which is very likely. And like, she's fucking 19 years old. Her brother just died 2 months ago. Like, realistically, like, this is probably her way out. Or, yeah, this is her time to go. And fucking, when I saw her jump on my mom's bed, not even like 24 hours prior to that conversation, she was fine. Like, she was literally fine. She was in perfect health as far as I knew. And it just happened fast. Like, I knew she was on her way out eventually, but I thought I'd maybe have another year. I had hoped, like, I knew I was moving out. I'm moving out soon, and I just hoped like she would be okay for another year, so like she could live with me and she could die with me. But it just happened really fast. Like I assumed that she would. I was ready for a slow decline. I wasn't ready to wake up one day in the middle of the night and have to kill her. Well, not kill her, but I need to. I need to stop thinking of it like that. But I didn't. Like I said, I thought it would be a slow and gradual decline. I didn't think I'd wake up in the middle of the night one night and then have to consider putting her down that same day, and then eventually putting her down that same day. I didn't think it would. I didn't think it would happen within the span of 24 hours, like it did. So, as much as I try to prepare, I just wasn't prepared, and that gives me a whole different level of anxiety outside of losing my fucking cat. But we can talk about that in a different video. So yeah, after the vet also said too. So the vet did this test where like the vet being she picked her being Patches up and like try to lay Patches like paws on the table, and the vet said like yeah, in normal circumstances the cat would try to like grab onto the table and stand on top of it, but Patches like wasn't moving. So the vet's like, it's very likely that she suffered a blood clot and like it hit her neck or her brain, and like the rest of her body is basically disabled. So like that's not a good quality of life, obviously. And like with that, just caring for her, we'd have to like basically 24-hour like surveillance. Like we had to like switch her sides, the vet said, and we had to like bring her to the litter box and like feed her and all this. Like we'd have to do literally everything for Patches, which is obviously not good. And I was almost kind of considering it, because like Nathan's here 24/7. But I mean, I don't know. That's a lot of responsibility for Nathan, and that I don't know. Just didn't think that would be a great idea either. So then I was like considering, well, maybe kitty hospice, because I did not want to put her down, obviously. So I was like, ask about like kitty hospice, and she's like, yeah. The tech was like, yeah, this is like a possibility, but again, it'd be the same exact care as if like, yeah, it'd be the same exact care, just like you'd have to lay her on her sides, feed her, give her water, bring her to the litter box. Like it would just be a lot, and the cost, I can't even imagine what the cost would be like for that as well. It's just like the cost is obviously one factor, and I wish it wasn't, but it's just like the quality of life too. And she seemed like she's in pain, like the way she was whining. Not a big fan. Like I did not like seeing her like that. So just like there really only is one option, and like I'm the only person. Honestly, I'm the only person who feels like, I feel like I'm the only person who has the right to even make that decision. Like when she had to have her surgery last time, I paid for fucking almost everything. Like Ryan and Kayla helped, but like I still shoulder like 75% of that responsibility. And like she's my cat. Like cats like to choose favorites. I'm her. Like she chose me. Like she's my cat. End of the day. So it's like I had to make the decision for my cat. So, and again, it's not like I fucking wanted to, but so I was like, okay, well, can we give her some painkillers and take her home so everybody can say bye to her, and I could just take her back to, have her euthanized? And they're like, yeah, that's fine. And after some little jerking around, because we could have given it we could have administered the painkillers at the vet, or we could have waited at home, or we could have administered the painkillers to her when we got home. I didn't know if like, sorry, I didn't know what Kayla was doing for work, what time she was gonna be back. So trying to figure out if it'd be best if like we did it there or at home, and we're just kind of going back and forth. And I was like, we figured it out. We're just like, we'll just give it to her, and we'll just give the painkillers to Patches now. Kayla can wait. Kayla can go into work late. So that's what we did. Gave Patches a painkiller. Made her drool, like this big glob of drool immediately. But after that, it was fine, and she was like pretty much comatose. And I didn't know how to feel about that. Like, I didn't like how she was like on drugs and out of it. But I felt better knowing that she wasn't like scared or like possibly in pain. So we bring her back, and when we get back home, shortly thereafter, like the painkillers definitely set in. So she's a lot more relaxed. She's just got some sleep, because I'm sure she was stressed out too. So she finally got some good sleep. Um, Everybody got to spend some time with her. Uh, yeah, everybody got to spend some time with her. I got to, have one more nap with her because I'm tired. I still only have like 3 hours of good sleep and like an hour and a half of like rough sleep. So I'm like just in terrible shape, and like I didn't eat until like 6 that day because like had no appetite. So um, around like around like 10 o'clock, Ryan finally leaves, and I asked him if he wants to go with to see the vet, and he said he didn't want to because he couldn't handle it. He just don't. I don't mean that in a bad way, but he said he just like, yeah, I just don't want to do that. And I think that was his words too. He's like, I just can't handle that. And then I asked Nathan if he wanted to go with. He's like, nah. I think it's more of like a. I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was something to the effect of like, this is personal to you. Like, he just wanted to respect like my relationship with Patches, basically. So, I got dressed. Um, got dressed. Drove her to the vet. Took the long way. And yeah, had to send her off. And I feel like a lot of ways about it. Like sometimes it's like maybe I could have done more to keep her healthy. Like maybe I could have brought her to the vet, the annual vet visit, which like wouldn't have hurt, that for sure. But that's always me. I always think like what I could have done to do better, which is like a blessing and a curse. Like something like this, I can't dwell too much on like what else I could have done for her, because like what happened. And like another part of me is like, if I made more money, like I wouldn't have had to consider the cost of things. Like I would have just got her the treat. I would just try to give her the treatment. But I don't make more money, so, and that's not really on me. Like I'm trying. just takes. It's just gonna take me longer to make the money. But I don't really want to talk. I just want to talk about her. So I mean, I miss her a lot. I'm recording this on July 9th, so you know. Yeah, so she was officially put down like it was like a 24-hour span. So I woke up at 3 o'clock, and then she was put to sleep at like 11:45, something like that, 11:30. I think it's like 11:45. It was yeah, it was definitely 11:45. So all that happened within a span of 24 hours. Um, yeah, it's just rough. Because I'm 27 now, I'm about to be 28, and she's been in my life since I was 7 years old, I think. No, I was 8. I think, yeah, I think it was 8. Yeah, because she was 19. So she watched me grow up. Like, that cat was my childhood. I remember like hard days too, where she was always there to comfort me, you know, no matter what. Like, she was there. When I felt sick, I was there to cuddle with her. Yeah, I just love her a lot. And it's, I don't know. I was hoping I'd be more emotionally prepared when this time came, but I prepared the best that I could. You know, you can only be so prepared. And I guess like one silver lining in this is that she did die with me. I was scared of her dying when I was at school. I didn't want her to think like I abandoned her. But yeah, she did die with me, and she had a super long, healthy, happy life. So I'm glad I'm glad we were able to do that for her, you know? Like, cats don't live that long. An unhappy cat doesn't live that long, you know? And yeah, I don't really know how to end this video. But I guess that's it for this one.